Hi everyone, I'm Kevin Elson. Here's a look at what's going on this week in the news. We begin with news from the Vatican. During his weekly general audience, Pope Francis reflected on his recent visit to Ireland for the World Meeting of Families. The Pope spoke about the need for vocations in Ireland after the sexual abuse crisis and other problems caused many to turn away from their faith. Rome Reports has more from St. Peter's Square.
St. Peter's Square welcomed the Pope's return with enthusiasm. Pope Francis greeted thousands of people from the Popemobile and then summed up his trip to Ireland in his catechesis. He recalled that the purpose of the trip was to close an international event, the World Meeting of Families. With a certain sadness in tone, the Pope proposed revising the current models of the ideal family.
Oggi è moda sulle riviste, sui giornali parlare questo si è divorziato di questa, quello di quello le separazioni. Ma per favore, questo è una cosa brutta. È vero, io rispetto ognuno, dobbiamo rispettare la gente, ma l'ideale non è il divorzio, l'ideale non è la separazione, non è la distruzione della famiglia, l'ideale è la famiglia unita. Così avanti, questo è l'ideale.
Although the World Meeting of Families was a joyful event, the Pope did not overlook a painful fact, that in Ireland he had to face the scandal of sexual abuse committed by members in the Church and the deep wound it has left in the country. He asked for forgiveness and felt the evil it has done to the country and Catholics. From the square, he asked to pray that the Church in Ireland be renewed.
In Irlanda c'è la fede, c'è gente di fede, una fede con grandi radici. Ma sapete una cosa? Che ci sono poche vocazioni al sacerdozio. Come mai questa fede non riesce? Per questi problemi, gli scandali, tante cose. Dobbiamo pregare perché il Signore invii santi sacerdoti in Irlanda, invia nuove vocazioni. Lo faremo insieme pregando un'Ave Maria alla Madonna dei Knock. Ave o Maria, piena di grazia, il Signore è con te. Tu sei benedetta fra le donne e benedetto il frutto del tuo seno, Gesù.
In news from around the country this past week, Cardinal Sean O'Malley of Boston gathered with over 300 archdiocesan priests to discuss the recent events of the sexual abuse crisis, including the accusations against former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, the letter sent to Cardinal O'Malley regarding McCarrick's behavior, the release of the Pennsylvania grand jury report, and allegations of misconduct at St. John's Seminary in Boston. In his remarks, Cardinal O'Malley said from the beginning of the sex abuse crisis, it has been a crisis of leadership in the Church. Bishops protected the reputation of the Church and their priests more than they protected innocent children. The Cardinal reiterated that he had no knowledge of the letter about McCarrick that was sent to him until he heard about it in the media. He added that he has changed the protocols for his office and initiated a review of all past correspondence. The Cardinal expressed hope that what will emerge from this crisis will be a better presbyterate, a better hierarchy, holier, more generous, more fraternal, close to our people and to each other. Following the Cardinal's remarks, Bishop Mark O'Connell updated the priests on the inquiry into allegations of misconduct at St. John's Seminary. He said the scope of the inquiry will be the past 5 to 6 years, and its priority will be to ensure protocols are being properly implemented. He invited anyone who knows of any new information to come forward and be interviewed by the committee. The meeting ended with a listening session where several priests described their anxieties and shared their grave concern for their parishioners who are expressing outrage at the failures of the Church's Episcopal leadership. More news now from the Vatican. This September 1st marks the 4th annual World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation. Pope Francis talked about the day this past week at his general audience and mentioned one of the issues he wanted to draw people's attention to this year.
The World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation will take place again this year on September the 1st. It is a day where the Church asks everyone to give thanks and prayer to God for the protection of nature, as well as forgiveness for sins committed in the world. In Wednesday's general audience, Pope Francis reminded and invited people there to join the Church to celebrate it this coming Saturday, and announced it will be dedicated to the lack of water.
Nel messaggio di quest'anno desidero richiamare la tensione sulla questione dell'acqua, bene primario da tutelare e da mettere a disposizione di tutti.
The World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation was instituted by Pope Francis in 2015, inspired by his encyclical Laudato Si, which called for greater care towards the environment and people. This event is very particular because it is also celebrated along with the Orthodox Church every year on 1st of September.
And finally in the news, in his 2018 Labor Day statement entitled Just Wages and Human Flourishing, Bishop Frank Duane, chairman of the U.S. Bishops' Committee on Domestic Justice and Human Development, says that a just wage is one that not only provides for workers' financial well-being, but fosters their social, cultural, and spiritual dimensions as individuals and members of society. The bishop points out a recent study examining whether a minimum wage earner could afford an average two-bedroom apartment in their state of residence. According to the study, in all 50 states, that answer was no. The bishop also took note of a recent Federal Reserve report that showed that 4 in 10 adults could not cover a $400 emergency expense or would have to borrow money or sell something to do so. The bishop said if the dignity of work is to be protected, then the basic rights of workers must be respected, including the right to productive work, to decent and fair wages, to organizing and joining unions, to private property, and to economic initiative. Well, that is all the information we have for you at this time. I'm Kevin Nelson. Don't forget you can keep up to date on Catholic news throughout the week with Catholic Newsbreak right here on the Catholic TV Network.